So we have another very, very special guest with us today, and it's none other than Peterborough United's attacker, Lewis Darlington. Lewis, how are you doing? Hope your family is doing well. How is everybody?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Family as well. Yeah.
Okay. And just to to know a little bit more about you, Lewis, where were you born? In the Midlands, in London, up north? Where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in Leicester, which is in the Midlands. Yeah, and I'm still quite local to there now.
Okay. And in terms of your Jamaican background, is it your mom's side, your dad's side, or both?
It's my dad's side. My granddad, he was born in Jamaica, and I think he came over when he was sort of 13, 14.
And for you personally, have you had the opportunity to visit the island, whether on holiday or otherwise?
Yeah, yeah. So my parents were married over there. They've been there a few times, and then I've been there twice on holidays with my grandparents and also my sort of close family. Um, and whenever we've gone there, we've tried to sort of not just stay in the touristy parts and actually go into the country and meet some family.
And for you personally, growing up in Leicester, would you say that you grew up like with a Jamaican culture or more of an English culture? You know, with like the food, the music, and other aspects.
I've been quite lucky because my mum's side's English, so I've sort of had a mix. Um, to sort of I've had sort of English foods and stuff growing up, but then I've also had that Jamaican food when we have like family reunions and stuff like that.
And for you growing up, and learning about football, did you play any other sports growing up, or it was always football for you?
It was mainly football because I sort of took quite a liking to it when I was young. My granddad got me into it, so yeah, sort of from the age of 3, 4, he sort of got me kicking a ball and going to games.
And Lewis, let's talk a little bit about, the type of player that you are, because those on the island, they don't really get an opportunity to watch under 21 or under 18 games. Only those that really get to visit England get to see it. So I would like to know a little bit more about you so that the fans on the island can know more about you in terms of, the position that you play on the field and also, some of the strengths that you have as well.
Yes, I'd like to say I'm quite a high energy player. I like to run quite a lot with the ball and without the ball, both sort of when we're attacking and when we're defending. Um, I'm not the quickest, but I like to think I have a good amount of pace. I think my hold up play and link up play is quite good. And then obviously as a striker, my finishing has to be good, sort of keep the team scoring goals.
And in terms of, being an attacker, would you say it was a position that you always played or you experimented in other parts of the pitch?
Well, I've not always been at Peterborough. I started my career at Nottingham Forest, and I was there from under nines all the way to under 16s. And when I signed there from my grassroots club, I was a centre back. And there's a funny story because my first game on trial with Forest, I played centre back and I scored 9 goals from centre back, and they never played me centre back again. So once that sort of happened and they sort of started nurturing my talents in the forward areas, I sort of became the sort of player I am.
So Nottingham Forest was the first professional club that you joined as a kid?
Yeah, yeah. I joined them sort of when I was 8 or 9.
And from Nottingham Forest, did you eventually go to Peterborough or you spent some time at Leicester as well?
No, I got released at the end of the under 16 season at Forest, and then Peterborough were quite keen to sort of snap me up, which I was very grateful for. So they've sort of helped me in this next part of my development.
In terms of, you at Peterborough, born and raised in Leicester, is it a far commute or not really?
It's not too bad because I live sort of the Peterborough side of Leicester, so it's only sort of 30 to 40 minutes depending on the traffic.
And the experience that you're having right now at Peterborough, how would you describe it in terms of your development as a player?
I think it's a really good place to be at this point. Sort of we've got a good under 21 set up there. We're in a good league. and the way Peterborough like to play is good passing football. It's not the sort of long ball, sort of lower league football that you might expect from a club like Peterborough. It's very much sort of more advanced, um, and I think it suits my play style a bit better as well. And there's a very close link between the sort of under 21s and the first team, so you're always in and around it, and there's always opportunities.
As you know, the manager of Peterborough United's first team is Grant McCann. Does he, by chance, have an opportunity to pop by the under 21s or have a chat with you to just encourage you to keep going?
Yeah, I mean the first team staff, all of them are quite close with the academy as well. We sort of train on the pitch next to them every day. They might sort of grab a few of us to help with training numbers every now and again, and sort of we all have lunch and breakfast together in the same canteen. So in that sense, it's a very close knit group.
And what is the experience in like with you, mingling with the first team, having meals, having supper, and engaging in training with them? What has the experience been like for you?
I mean, it's always a bit daunting at first, but I think once you sort of integrate into the group and get to know some of the players, they're actually very welcoming, and you can sort of just get along with them as if they're your peers.
And, to the best of your knowledge at Peterborough, in their academy under 21s or under 18s, apart from the first team, because we'll get on to Johnson Clark Harris in a minute, are you aware of any other lads such as yourself that, born in the UK but have Jamaican background, Jamaican heritage?
Yeah, I think there's Ricky J Jones. I think his family's got some Jamaican in there. I think apart from that, it's just sort of us three.
Yeah, and how much of a coincidence is it, that Johnson, captain of the first team, born in Leicester, and of course playing for Peterborough, what it's been like, mingling with him as well.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of had mutual friends. So when I joined and he joined, we sort of had common ground to sort of talk about. He's very down to earth. It's very easy to get carried away with the amount of goals he's scoring and being the captain of the team. But he's very down to earth, and he tries to encourage sort of the link between the 21s and the first team.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're aware about 6, 7 months ago or so, he made his debut for Jamaica. So that must be, in a sense, a motivation for yourself to continue pushing, not only for the first team, but also for an international cap as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was sort of in the gym with him when he came back from the games he played, and he was very sort of he talked about it in high praise and enjoyed his time out there. So it sort of was an extra motivation for me to go for that cap.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're aware as well, being able and having the opportunity to play for Jamaica, it's imperative that one has a Jamaican passport. So I'm sure at some point you'll have some dialogue with your parents or grandparents regarding, assistance to get that Jamaican passport one day.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, I'll be looking to get it sort of fairly soon. Because obviously I did get called up for England under 15s. I was at a camp with like the likes of Jude Bellingham and that. But I don't really see a pathway with England, and obviously being brought up around a lot of Jamaicans myself, I like to think that playing for Jamaica would be an honour for me. So yeah, I'll be looking to sort of get a passport fairly soon.
And when you look around you as well, you see players such as yourself, at Manchester United, there's Malachi Sharp and Dishon Bernard who have declared for Jamaica. Ethan Laird as well, a Manchester United player on loan. In addition, Cuba Mitchell, all the way up in Sunderland, has declared to play for Jamaica. I mean, this must be encouraging for you to hear that there's so much quality players, young players, that are willing to play for their heritage in Jamaica.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the past there's not been that many people that have sort of been born over in England and actually represented. So it's nice to see that there's more people sort of declaring for Jamaica. And I feel like in the future we can have a really strong group going forward, and that's something that I would look to be a part of.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have a chance to watch the likes of the Championship and the Premier League. How encouraging is it to see, the likes of Leon Bailey and Mikel Antonio, Bobby Reed, Jamal Lowe, uh, Jamaican internationals playing in the Premier League, the top flight?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very talented players that have got Jamaican heritage, and I feel like there's more and more of them that are coming out and representing Jamaica as well now. So I think it's sort of shining the spotlight on them a bit more, and it's encouraging to see sort of players that sort of represent myself um, doing well in the better leagues.
As well, was quite what I find quite interesting. Johnson Clark Harris was born in Leicester. You were born in Leicester. Liam Moore, who used to play for Leicester City, now at Reading, he was also born in Leicester. What do you would say is the key behind the city of Leicester? Is it, just a footballing mad city wide that's produced, so much great talent?
I think there is a lot of good football players coming from Leicester. I'm not sure why it is, but it just seems to be a good footballing city, and there's a lot of sort of grassroots club in and around Leicester that are doing quite well as well. So I think that's something to do with it.
And in terms of the national team, the Reggae Boys, have you ever had an opportunity to watch one of their games, whether on the telly or streaming online?
It's quite hard for me, being the time difference, but I managed to watch. I think it was one of the World Cup qualifiers. I think it was against America. So yeah, just because I was up late and I seen it was on, so I thought I'd have a watch.
Growing up, would you say there was a Jamaican international or reggae boy that, you looked up to, or a role model or an inspiration, so to speak?
I think one of my good mates, Forrest, was Pharrell Johnson, whose dad actually played for Jamaica quite a bit of time ago. So he was the sort of first one I was sort of introduced to, and that sort of exposed me to the sort of Jamaican national team for the first time.
And in terms of, this season right now at Peterborough, how would you say, things have been progressing for you and the club within the under 21 league?
I think since I've been at Peterborough, I've been there sort of 2.5 years now, and I've progressed massively. With the under 18s when I was a part of that. We had some good successes winning the league the first year and then going quite well in the FA Youth Cup. And then sort of being integrated into this 21s team, I'm sort of finding my feet and sort of having an effect on games now where I'm pushing to be sort of the first name on a team sheet. So it's just about continuing that and trying to make that next step up to the first team. And I know that if I carry on sort of progressing how I am, then opportunities will come in the future.
Yeah, quite naturally, when you're doing well, there'll be a lot of eyes on you and there'll be observers. In the summer, was there perhaps an opportunity to go elsewhere to another club or to a higher division, but you decide to stay at Peterborough because of how much it's a good foundation for you for your development?
I'm sure if I wanted to, there was other clubs that would have been interested in me, but Peterborough offered me a contract fairly early on, so it showed their sort of belief in me, and I was enjoying myself here, so I thought it's a no-brainer to sort of stay here and carry on.
And in terms of, the current deal that you have with Peterborough, is it a 2-year deal, a 3-year deal, or a bit more long term?
It's a 2-year deal at the moment, so I'm here till the end of next season, and then I think there's options to sort of extend that if I wanted to and they wanted to.
Yeah. And just to get to know you a little bit better, would you say, or do you have any brothers and sisters? And if so, do they play football at all?
I've got a brother and a sister. They're both younger. My sister's 16 now, and she was quite a big netball player, but I think she's sort of focusing more on her studies now. And then my brother's 8, and I think the fact that he's been dragged to sort of my games from birth, basically, is kind of put him off football a bit. But he will still come and support me every now and again, just because I'm his brother.
And Lewis, you spoke a bit early as well in regards to the experiences that you had in that English youth setup with Bellingham. What was it like being, and playing with him in that setup?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great experience. I'm obviously very thankful for that. To be sort of selected and playing with Jude. You could tell from that early age that he was going to be something special. He was playing passes when we were playing the games. He was playing passes that I didn't even see. But then once the pass was made, it was like the perfect pass. So um, yeah, it was just a great player to sort of be around and sort of realize that's the sort of standard you need to be to get to the top.
Okay. And how old are you right now, Lewis?
I've just turned 19.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, time flies. And
yeah.
earlier we spoke a bit about the Jamaican heritage side of things, so I'm just curious as well, what's your favorite Jamaican dish?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a lot. I think I've got to lean towards sort of either curry goat or a patty. I'm partial to a patty when I'm sort of peckish in the afternoons.
Any good places in Leicester where you can get those stuff?
Yeah, well, there's a West Indian market in Peterborough, which is quite good for that. So yeah, there's some fresh patties I can get there after training.
All right, nice. And I mean, you spoke about, your family as well. Did your dad or granddad play football at all, whether Sunday league or amateur?
I think my dad was at Leicester when he was like under 15s, but I think he sort of stopped to pursue sort of athletics and his studies. And then my granddad, he's never really been that into sport, and if he was, it would be more rugby. So
And in terms of, your sort of education, are you finished with school or you're in sixth form right now? What's the situation, school wise?
yes, I'll finish education for now. I I was doing a BTEC with the club, and I was also doing a extra A level in maths last year. So yeah, I did quite well in that. I passed both of them. Um, so yeah, just for now, put the studies on hold, focus on the football, and then maybe come back to that afterwards.
And just so, persons on the island could be a bit more aware, Lewis, is it that, when you're a bit younger, is it that you would have school in the morning and training in the afternoon, when you're like at Nottingham Forest? Was it like that in a sense?
Yeah, it was so sort of up to about under 12s. You sort of go to school all day, and then sort of in the evenings at about 6, you'd go over to Nottingham and you'd play and train in the evenings. And then sort of when you're under 13s and up to under 16s, you do this like program called day release, where you'd go to the school in the morning, and then in the afternoon you go train in the afternoon, do some sort of recovery, have lunch, do a bit of extra education to sort of catch up on the school you miss, and then train in the evenings as well.
And Lewis, like you said, you're 19, you'll be 20 next year. What would it mean for you to get a call up for Jamaica's under 20 team or even the senior team heading into next year with qualifiers on the horizon?
I mean, it would be an honour. I mean, I think every football player would want to play for their national team, whether it be the country they're born in or where their family's from. So, um, I mean, I can just focus on myself, do everything I can. I think if they ever did come knocking and called me up, I would be honoured to go over and sort of represent them.
Well, Lewis, look, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and definitely we'll be in touch for sure.